Okay. Good afternoon. I want to welcome you to our MTPO Executive Board meeting. I'm going to ask Ms. Christian if she would call the roll.
Chairman Morris Baker,
Here.
Jimmy Adkins,
Present.
Blake Ayler, Michelle Christian. Here. Chase Milner.
Here.
Amber Corbett, and Mayor Mark DeWitt. Thank you.
We have a quorum.
Have everybody.
Excellent. Good. All right, we're going to have our public comment period, and I'll say those wishing to make a comment pertaining to any of the agenda items or any transportation planning issue, activities, and or projects that pertain to the Kingsport Metropolitan Transportation Planning Organization may do so at this time. You have a 5-minute time limitation. Seeing no one wants to come up, we'll go ahead and close the public comment period and move to item number 3, approval of the minutes from the February 13th meeting. If everybody's had an opportunity to review, and if so, I'll take a motion to approve. All right. Second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, we'll go to the item 4, FY26 Unified Planning Work Program, Virginia. Leslie, I'll turn to you.
Okay, so you all know the UPWP Unified Planning Work Program is one of our core documents. Describes our administrative and operation tasks and budgets for the fiscal year or 2 years for PDOT. VDOT's fiscal year begins July 1, so we have to approve and adopt the fiscal year 26 UPWP for Virginia at this meeting. We worked with VDOT Lennoisco to define the tasks and program the PL funds for the various tasks. And in Kingsport, MTPO, and Lennoisco get PL funds separately and they're programmed separately. And so TDOT's fiscal year begins October 1st. So the full UPWP will be presented at the August meeting for approval and adoption. I've actually already had TDOT review and addressed their comment that they had. And it's actually already been through federal highway review, but I've not addressed those comments yet. So I know at Bristol's meeting, you all went ahead and adopted the full thing because Micah was an overachiever and I've got it ready. He sent his in like super early.
No
So,
cares.
so anyways, laid out just like before: program administration, data collection, maintenance analysis, short range planning, long range planning, multimodal planning, special studies. And we have, money to find what we're going to do under each of these tasks. And then the last page, most important, telling for Virginia, just fiscal year 26, where the funds are programmed for us and for Lennoisco in those various tasks.
All right, I think everybody was given a copy of it.
Yes, it was attached to the agenda. I have a hard copy here if anybody has a question.
If I can get a motion in a second, we'll move into any discussion we have. Okay, get a second. Okay. Now, do we have any discussion on this work plan? Anything additional, Leslie, or Michael want to say about it?
Pretty easy. VDOT and Lennoisco and send it back and forth a couple of times and that's it. And I just want to point out that, Jimmy wasn't supposed to be here again after February. That's supposed to be his last meeting, but he just thought he was done with us. So he is the proxy for Thomas because Thomas is out of town. So.
And the elevator said he couldn't stay away. So. Anybody have any questions about the plan? I'll say I appreciate everybody working together on it to move it forward. All right, if no comments or questions, I'll ask for a vote. All in favor, say aye. All right, any opposed? All right, we'll go to number 5, updated metropolitan planning area boundary.
Okay, so you all know after each decennial census, the U.S. Census Bureau sets the urban and rural areas or the urban area boundaries. And then federal regulations allow states and local officials to adjust those urban area boundaries for transportation purposes, which we adjusted the urban area boundary and adopted it at the board meeting in February of 24. So that's the green that you're seeing here is the adjusted urban area that y'all approved. So the next step is to update our planning area. And that's the geographic area in which the metropolitan transportation planning process must be carried out. So it at a minimum has to encompass the entire urban area. And then the contiguous geographic area is likely to become urbanized within the 20-year forecast period for the long range plan. So the Virginia MPA, we coordinated with VDOT and Lennoisco And you'll see, our urban area in Virginia drastically changed because of the new census criteria. So the green is the urban area over there. The gray that you see was our urban planning area from after the 2010 census. Well, Gate City and Weber City came out of the urban area, but VDOT asked us to leave them in the planning area because it makes them eligible for some other funds and stuff. So we agreed to do that. It's pretty much the city limits. It's based on census blocks. So there is a little bit of discrepancy, but so we're pulling the planning area back to take away all this gray and just have Gate City, Weber City, and Yuma. And then down here, again, our urban area shrank because of the new census criteria. So we're pulling back, we're pulling out of Greene County totally. We just have a tiny little area there anyway. So we meet over here, we actually meet Bristol all the way down the border. The darker gray areas is where we were in 2010. It was our planning area. That's switching over to Bristol. We have met with them. And as you all asked, any of the functionally classified roads that were along our border, like State Route 394, and those kind of roads, we made sure it was in one MPA or the other, not split by the center line. And we've done the same for Johnson City. You'll notice our urban area goes down into Johnson City's planning area, which it does that currently. We have an agreement with Johnson City, gray is Johnson City city limits and their urban growth boundary. We talked about all that. So here along the Washington County line, we cleaned it up a little bit. So Johnson City is actually going to cover, there's a railroad track here to the west, the lake is to the east, and then that's the Washington County line. And then they'll plan for all this urban area. We do have a current written agreement with them that we will update if we need to. Bristol, Kingsport, and Johnson City had a meeting with TDOT last week, and we did the same as far as the functionally classified roads along where our planning area meets theirs, made sure that, they're not split down the center line. So it hasn't changed much from what you all have seen previously, except where we went in and made those little intricate changes along those roads. Questions?
If I can get a motion in a second, then we'll go for discussion.
As a proxy for today, I'd like my lasting legacy here to be approving or making a motion to approve this boundary as we had so worked on for what, 2 years?
All right,
I'll second that.
thanks. Now, any discussion?
I've said it before and I'll say it again. We could not have done it without Blake and Leslie. This was I think it was a 97% reduction in the population of the Virginia MPO number based on the census data, and it was all about language and wordage. So, but on behalf of your friends from across the mountain over in Scott County, Gate City, Weber City, Yuma, we appreciate you keeping us in mind.
Appreciate that, Jamie. Anybody else have any comments or questions about it? Let me back for just a minute. That part of our area goes into Johnson City.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, go all the way down here. It makes no sense to me, but and who knows, next census, they may change it again and it'll change again.
I know a lot of people talk about regionalism in the area, but I think that happens in a lot of ways that, public may not recognize it happens in a seamless manner. So just sitting around this table, I think, is a great illustration of regionalism. So, yeah. Any other questions or comments about the map? All right. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? All right. Thanks. We'll move to item number 6, tip amendment number 5, Leslie.
Okay, so we have 3 tip amendments. And if you all remember, as part of each tip amendment, we also have to certify that we are self-certified that we're following the metropolitan planning process and affirm that we are following all the regulations that are identified in 23 CFR 450-336, which that list is in this packet as well. This first one is actually an amendment for a TDOT project. So State Route 126 Memorial Boulevard is ready to go to construction. You all remember the full project will go from East Center Street all the way to Interstate 81. But it was split into 2 phases. So phase 1 was East Center Street to just past East Lawn Cemetery, just Cooks Valley Road. And then phase 2 is from there all the way to the interstate. Because of the cost of construction going up so much. Well, okay, right of way has been purchased for the whole entire phase one from Center Street to just past East Lawn Cemetery. But because of the cost of construction and all the escalation in prices, that is being split into two phases. So that full length is 4 miles and this is going down to half. So it's just 2.1 miles. And the estimated construction is about $100 million. This is going to be from Center Street to Briarwood, which is top of the hill right there past Harbor Chapel where you've got the stoplight. Almost to city limits. City limits are about 1/10 of a mile on past where this ends at Briarwood. Let's see if there's anything else I need. Yeah, the total project cost on here only reflects construction. A lot of times it'll have the full cost for like environmental, right of way, design, all that stuff. But because this was split out to another pin and it's a segment of a corridor project, then it's only reflecting what is actually programmed for construction in this TIP amendment. So basically this will add this project to our TIP. It's not in our TIP currently because the right of way phase was taking so long. It was a huge right of way project. Which Dexter can attest to. I think like the numbers I had seen was like 269 tracks were affected. There were 84 residential relocations and 15 business relocations. And at that time, I don't know about now, but at that time, it was the largest right-of-way project in the state. So took a long time, a lot of stuff to it, but we have to program this money so we can move forward with construction. It is scheduled to be late in August. Oh, they changed it? Okay, October.
Couple tracks are right away.
Okay. So we have to get this done to get it to TDOT so they can get it to Federal Highway for their approval. And that way it'll be ready to go out to bid.
All right, y'all have heard the project. If I get a motion in second, then we'll have some discussion. Thanks, Chase. Get a second. All right, discussion. I got to see the plan Leslie's got up in her office, I guess topography of it, and a lot of good improvements from a driver's perspective. Dead Man's Curve, what's known as Dead Man's Curve is being fixed, and Orbate's going to come out on Memorial a little different. So I think it's going to serve Kingsport very, very well with the way it's laid out right now. Appreciate TDOT working on this. Been working on it how long? Since 1876 or?
Well, I've started numbering the TIP projects with the TIP we did a few years ago. And I'd go back as far as I could to see when I first saw it in the TIP. And so this was 2007.
Yeah.
I was pregnant with my 19-year-old son. And Bill can talk about this when we first started the Memorial Boulevard study.
We was doing,
So that was-
when we was doing
that was-
contact
it
sensitive
was-
solutions.
So that was 20 years ago. Yeah, context sensitive solution.
That's hard on the city in
Yes.
the middle of that.
What I have a hard time getting my mind around, 2.1 miles, $108 million.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
We had one in Knoxville. $7 million years ago.
2 years ago. What's that going to be now?
I mean, we had it 2 years.
Okay,
So,
all right. All right. Any comments or questions about it?
I heard Dexter say, "Is this a bargain?"
Yeah. Yeah. This is a discounted version. So, yeah, got about $24 million of federal funds and 84 million of state funds.
Yeah, the two different lines, it's state STBG funds, which is 30 or 80% federal, 20% state. And then the state line, which we've not seen before, is the Transportation Modernization Act funds, the TMA that, started last year with like when they do the 10-year plan, which we'll have a presentation on later.
So you let it out in October. It goes to for bids, right?
Yes.
How long will it take to get the project done? Estimated.
Oh, man, I've not seen a completion date. I'm not over construction, so I'm playing in that realm. I'm not. Talk to them. Their timeframe.
3 years.
So how long after it's bid do you actually see dirt moving? Because I know you have to put it out to bid, leave it out for so long, then go off through all that.
Yeah,
but-
we go through the bid process. I would say, you say probably January, February.
Construction started first of the year.
Yeah.
They're about, yeah. Okay. Any comments, questions? Big project for Kingsport. Yeah. All right, if there's none, if I could, everybody in favor, say aye. Any opposed? All right, motion passed. All right, tip amendment number 6, Leslie.
And
Spending a lot of money today.
And again, as part of the tip amendment, we also have to self-certify the planning process. I'll mention every time because I have to do it with each one. So this one is actually something different too, is a project for Mount Carmel. They were awarded a TAP grant in 2023. So they're paying for the preliminary engineering phases. Construction will be TAP grant, so 80% federal, 20% local. And this is for a construction of a bike ped trail within the town of Mount Carmel. It runs parallel to Main Street, begins at the intersection of Independence Avenue and Main Street, and runs west approximately 3,000 feet to the intersection of Main Street and Hammond Avenue. So, amendments to the TIP require board approval. Anything with federal funds in it, in our MTPO area, we have to have in the TIP. So we are asking you to approve this amendment to add project MC 2025-023 for the TAP grant for the Mount Carmel Ped Bike Trail to the TIP.
Total project $735,000. All right, you've heard the project. If I get a motion in second, we'll have discussion then.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thanks, Blake.
Second.
All right, thanks. All right, discussion or questions?
The PIN number for this, when I talked to TDOT, I don't have it on here yet, but I'll add it before I submit it, is actually from Hammond Avenue to Kaywood, which is even closer to the city limits. So hopefully eventually we'll get the green belt, because we have, the next one you'll see is for green belt westward extension. So hopefully eventually we can get them to meet.
Where the local funds coming from?
To the town of Mount Carmel.
Town of Mount Carmel. Any other questions or comments? If not, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? All right, amendment passed. Move to amendment number 7, Leslie.
Okay, this one's a little bit different than what was in your agenda packet, because I got some feedback from TDOT after it was sent out. So basically, this is for the West End Greenbelt extension. It's in the design phase now, getting ready for the right of way. We do have some STBG, some of our MPO STBG programmed on right of way. This is programmed 100% local for construction, because we were applying for TAP grants several times for this project. We're not awarded it. Maybe something we look at doing in the future, maybe when it's ready to actually, get dirt moving, because sometimes they prefer you to have, shovel ready projects before they'll award grants. So maybe this would be a good one for the next round or two of TAP. But previously, so the Kingsport Greenbelt currently ends right there at Rotherwood Drive. And there's a little parking area there. Previously, it went down Netherland Road, Stone Drive, and came around and ended at Lewis Lane. So the change, and that's why we're having to bring it for amendment. There's no change to the money, except I'm moving the right of way to fiscal year 25. The change is changing one of the termini, and then just changing the description a little bit. So it'll go from where it ends right now at Rotherwood Drive, up Netherland Road to Port Drive, which is in that new development right there that has scooters and Eastman Credit Union and Waggles. So it'll go down Port Drive and end Port Drive at Lewis Lane, and there'll be some trailhead parking there instead of ending at Stone Drive at Lewis Lane. So this is the updated map. It shows the green is the current, and then the purple is where it would go, and this way through Port Drive instead of going down to Stone Drive.
And the only change being made is the location where it ends at. Why it has to come back before the board, right?
Well, the route, since it's not following Stone Drive, and
Yeah.
and the end point, the end and terminus, yeah.
Okay.
And then we're switching the right of way to 2025.
Okay. Local funds, is that all Kingsport?
It is
Okay, money already appropriated, right?
for the local match for the right of way identified. The
construction funds have not been in future years.
Okay, all right. All right, if I can get a motion second, we'll have discussion then. All right. All right. Discussion, comments, questions?
Just like it noted that I made this map as an intern with the NPO.
Oh, the old one?
Yeah. The project moving forward, even if you're moving.
I wonder where that file was. Looking for that.
Forgot.
It is not being constructed as part.
That portion of Fort Drive is there.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
That was part of the holdup was, we was ready to move forward with the design and they were still building it. We had to wait and it didn't quite match the design plans. So we had to go back and resurvey it to lay it back out. But yeah, it's, road's built, but a lot of the development hasn't happened yet. You can go through now.
Anyway,
That's right.
All right, any other comments or questions? All right, if not, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? All right, amendment passed. Leslie, turn to you for the federal and state partner updates and project updates.
I am assuming there's nobody federal on the webinar, Michael.
You want to be the federal rep?
No, good.
So there's been a lot of turnover, like all the planning staff at Federal Highway Tennessee is gone. The division administrator also retired. He'd only been in Tennessee for about a year, but he'd been with Federal Highway for 35. But Sean, that you all have met, he's been here. Melanie and Zach were our three main contacts. There were two other planning specialists or environmental specialists that were under Sean. All five of them are gone. So the four planners and then Sean is the supervisor, took the deferred resignation program that was offered and left. Sean's last day was April 30th. Melanie and Zach's was April 17th. So we're hoping like with this tip amendment and stuff, getting it back for PDOT to not have holdups. We do have contacts down there, but it's just, they're going to be so short staffed, you know, who knows what's going to happen. So just Sean was going to stay, I guess, in the Nashville area, at least for now. So hopefully he'll be around some. He was a good one. He came to Tennessee right when I was coming into the MTPO. So I told him we basically grew up in the Tennessee transportation world. So I'll let Dexter go ahead with the 10-year project update. We've got a video, which hopefully this time people online will be able to see the video. Last time they could hear it, but they couldn't see it. Hope I've got that worked out. Go ahead and start the video.
Have you ever wondered how Tennessee's roads and bridges are planned, funded, and built? It's a complex process, like a giant game of Tetris, where every piece must fit perfectly together. The Tennessee Department of Transportation reevaluates our 10-year project plan every year, but it's not as simple as just picking and scheduling projects. There's a lot more at play. The scope, the funding, the environmental impact, everything must align. Remember, Tetris. Every project needs to be carefully assessed, considering many factors, including importance to the community and how it fits into the statewide transportation plan. A critical part of this process is looking at things like right-of-way sensitivity, environmental mitigation efforts, and the need for federal approval, all can make, break, or delay a project. Just like a well-run race, each phase needs to be successfully executed to cross the finish line before any shovels dig into the dirt, and those phases may take years. Sometimes a project phase hits a roadblock. For example, we may uncover historic artifacts during the environmental phase, or we must diligently work to help relocate families who live in the project's right of way. These are delicate situations that require immense care that could take months, sometimes years, to resolve. Other times, emergencies like a bridge crack or slope failure can suddenly become a top priority. When that happens, TDOT must adjust the 10-year plan and reallocate funds to address the immediate need. On the flip side, a project may be moved up when a local community brings additional dollars to the table or new funding is secured. It's a delicate balancing act, but it's all part of TDOT's commitment to keeping Tennessee's infrastructure connected, safe, and functional. Before the 10-year plan, things weren't always so organized. Projects were often stuck in limbo, awaiting funding, with no clear roadmap to move them forward. Now, thanks to the 10-year plan, TDOT has created a prioritization process that evaluates each project based on safety, cost, need, and deliverability. This process is thoughtful and dynamic. We constantly reevaluate to adapt to new circumstances. This new approach allows TDOT to move projects forward more effectively, ensuring what gets started gets finished. But that's not all. TDOT delivers more than the projects listed in the 10-year plan. You'll find additional planned work posted on our website, ranging from our 3-year pavement, bridge, and safety plans to our funding programs for transit, aviation, rail, and traffic operations and management. These plans provide even more clarity for Tennesseans and the industry, setting expectations for the funded work to come. TDOT is committed to transparency throughout this entire process. By laying out clear expectations and working with communities and stakeholders, we ensure the road to progress is accessible and clear for everyone. TDOT is deliberate in our approach, dedicated to delivering for Tennessee. That's why we're asking you to build with us.
This first part, since it's smaller, and then I'll have to zoom out for the next.
Good deal. All right. Thank you for having me today. My name is Dexter Justice. I'm Director of Project Management for East Tennessee, the 24 counties of East Tennessee. If you paid attention to our publications and releases, you would find that we released a updated 10-year plan in April of this year. We are legislatively required to do that as part of the governor's budget process. And we did that prior to the passage of the state's budget, obviously. This year, the governor requested an additional $1.1 billion from general fund transfer to be placed in TDOT's possession to advance projects and do a plethora of things. And that's what this sheet shows. I'm going to go through that real quick to give you an idea of what's going on with that money. A portion of it, a little over $1 billion, is non-recurring, which is what you see in the far right column. So it's a one-time infusion of $1 billion, but then we also ask for $80 million in recurring dollars to be put into the program. So every year, $80 million from the general fund will come over to transportation. They accomplish that by reallocating the funds from I think it's a tire tax that everybody pays when you get new tires, obviously. So that $80 million is coming over on an annual basis to us. But for this year, the FY26 budget has $1.1 billion add to our annual budget. And this is how we intend to spend that money. Line 1, you will see payment program investments. That's an additional $125 million statewide that's going into state of good repair. As you know, we're a pay-as-you-go state, zero debt state on infrastructure, and we value our investments that we already have. We want to stay in good state of repair. So we've added an additional $125 million to the paving program for this year. Bridge program, $75 million infusion that will be spent in multiple ways. Some of it will be a few new bridges. Some of it will be pavement or bridge preservation and rehab projects. And then you see a $20 million infusion of a spot safety program. This is a program where we go into local communities and do intersection improvements or small geometrical improvements on projects to improve a safety issue. So that's a very localized small pot of money, but an additional $20 million going into that program. Line 4, you'll see a state infrastructure fund. This is a new thing for TDOT. We've got $50 million as a stand up for this idea. We're making $50 million available to local governments via a low interest loan, if you will, so to help local governments progress infrastructure projects. I think if it goes over well, you could see additional dollars added to this program in the future. Line 5 is Rural Service Patrol. If you spent much time in Knoxville, Memphis, Nashville, or Chattanooga, you're familiar with our HELP program, the yellow trucks that run around and help us have a more efficient system in our congested areas. It's been a very popular service amongst those urban areas, and we desire to grow that service out into the rural areas. Now, it's not to say that these trucks will look just like what you see in downtown urban core areas. It'll be a little different, but it's still an intent to put service patrol out into the rural communities, interstate. Line 6 is, you're always bouncing state of good repair and capital improvement projects and all that kind of stuff, but you're also looking at how do things look. So mowing and litter, we're looking to make improvements on what you see on the state's infrastructure just visually. So we've added additional dollars to mowing and litter. Pay for performance is a little bit of an oddball unless you're really clued into how state government works. It doesn't really make sense, but the short of it is TDOT's employee pay is 100% up until this point come out of transportation dollars. So every time the governor would say we're going to give state employees a X% raise this year, while every other department come out of the general fund, the funds that went to pay state TDOT employees came out of the transportation or gas tax. So actually, we have flat revenues with the gas tax, which meant we had less dollars every year to put into infrastructure because we were having to pay our people out of that. So this is a way for them to infuse general fund dollars into the pay of state TDOT employees and not lower what we can do with our general transportation funds. Line 8, expedited projects. So that's the big line here. Right? We got $774 million lined up for projects. And when I say a 10-year plan came out in April, it did not include the projects that we were going to do with that $774 million. We did not want to predispose that was going to get voted in with that plan. So we have released on Tuesday of this week an updated 10-year plan that shows what we're going to do with that $774 million. And we'll look at that in just a minute. Air carriers, that's got to do with our aviation section. Obviously, I'm not real familiar with what they're doing with that. And same thing with general aviation. And a special project in Wilson County. I'm not sure what that's really about either, but those are small dollar amounts in the big scheme of the $1.1 billion, right? So we'll go to the next sheet.
So
Is there any questions on this
the
before we go?
recurring 80 million, is this where you all expect it to be programmed each year, or will that
Correct.
change?
Correct. That's it. That's what we put in legislation. So that's where I would assume that it would stay. I will be interested to see if we ask for additional general fund in those areas in the future, but for now, that's where it's at.
Anything else before I move to the next? Shrink it back down some.
So, like I say, the 10-year plan came out that didn't predispose what we were going to do with the $1 billion, but the one that came out on Tuesday identified the 700 and we're saying 45 million here, where we're spending 745 million of those on projects. We in Region 1 received 3 projects out of the 12. 2 of them are in Knox County. They're along I-75, I-40 corridor. We have a 17-mile section of that road that is combined I-40, I-75 in West Knoxville from Paper Mill out to the directional interchange in Loudoun County. It's one of the most highly congested sections of interstate in the state. It is the highest ADT count location in the state. We have 212,000 cars a day at the Paper Mill exit, which is far exceeds anything that they have at any one location in Nashville. Now, they have congestion on multiple interstates that we don't have to deal with, so we're not saying we'd like to trade places with them, but that section of interstate it has a extreme amount of congestion.
And it's the highest average daily count
In the
Right.
state. Yeah, it's that Paper Mill exit. The That being said, we have a project that's underway already along that corridor that is really a study in today's terms. It's a PD&E, Project Development Environmental project to determine what the best way to deal with congestion along that 17-mile corridor is. It involves a planning environmental linkages study as well. But it was recognized dealing with this corridor, no matter what we do, these two interchanges, one at Watt Road and one at Campbell Station Road, are the two interchanges along this 17-mile corridor that have never been upgraded or modernized, if you will. So this is kind of a precursor to that bigger project. We have those two interchanges in there at Campbell Station, Watt Road, as part of the $745 million to upgrade those and modernize them so that they can receive what could be a choice lane, what could be a plethora of different things along main line that come out of that other project. The third project in Region 1 is a $20 million project along a 6-mile section of State Route 35 in Sevier County. If you're familiar with that county and going down there and playing the tourism game that we all love, you probably know that the desired route to come into tourist land is down State Route 66 from exit 407 into Sevierville, Pigeon Forge, and Gatlinburg. As that has become more congested and as our GPS-driven map products in our cell phones and people's other ways, it of course tries to send them into back roads and those kinds of things to get into this area instead of what is the desired front door. State Route 35 has become that. We have spent quite a bit of money on State Route 35 from the Green-Cott County line all the way towards Sevier County, but there's a 6-mile gap in what is otherwise probably a 30-mile, 40-mile road that is still a super 2-lane section instead of a 5-lane section. So we can't upgrade that section. We don't have enough money to do the entire upgrade to a 5-lane, but we got a $20 million infusion to address some intersections and make them safer since that corridor is receiving a lot more traffic these days. So that's where that money is being spent. Again, across the state, you can see the locations on the map, and there's a list out on the webpage. It'll show you where that infusion is landing. Clearly, an extra $750 million to what is typically an annual budget of about $600 million that goes to capital improvement projects is more than double on 1 year. So this is a pretty good infusion. You think about the billion this year in general fund transfer and the $3 billion that came out of the TMA. It's made a huge impact across the state. I think we talked about it earlier that the TMA, the $3 billion, is helping move the 126 project forward as it's 80% funded. The 100 million, about 80% of it's coming from the TMA. So these general fund infusions have really made a big impact across the state, but this is the latest iteration of that. I think the next page just is the detail of those projects. But certainly I encourage you to go out there and on our webpage, the Build With Us website, we have a full list of the 10-year plan that shows you what we're doing, and she has it brought up there. We have checker flags on the first list. Those are the ones that we have since we started the 10-year plan process that we have completed or got to construction. We are already listing 126 in there. We see that as a win for FY25. It's actually not under construction yet, but as far as the 10-year plan goes, it couldn't be listed in FY26. We wanted it to show in the plan that, the FY25 stuff is largely moving in a done position, if you will. Open to any questions anybody has about the $1 billion, the 10-year plan, and how that works.
So the bridge program, is that on system, off system?
I would imagine it's mostly on system for the $75 million.
The state infrastructure fund, I guess they'll be sending out information about how that's
Yes.
going to work.
Absolutely.
And do you think with the extra paving money, will they update the paving 3-year plan, or will they just wait till they do the next one?
That's happening right now. As this week that has really fired up. The 10-year plan, updated 10-year plan came out, like say, on Tuesday, and we immediately started going in. Okay, we got $125 million of paving. Do we have any projects that could be advanced? I think we do. Not a huge number here in Region 1, but we're going to try to advance some of that money into maybe even the June letting. So we will be doing an updated paving plan for sure.
So the extra money in Region One, well, besides the ones you mentioned in Knox County and Bear County up here in the Tri-Cities is basically probably some paving, maybe
Yes.
even some, and
Yep.
the help trucks.
Yeah, we think that, yeah, the help trucks and then the 29, I think we're getting in Region One, $29 million, additional $29 million for resurfacing FY 26. So that'll be spread across the 24 counties. But again, I think we think we're gonna have some paving jobs come out that will be using this money in the June letting. We're probably gonna do a special July letting too, to get some extra paving on the street this year.
Have a few big resurfacing up here anyway. I mean, like 11W from, I guess, AFG Road up all the way to Sullivan County line, Hawkins County line up here. It's this year or next year, and then 81 and 26
Yeah.
have some paving scheduled already, so.
Yep. $29 million? No, that's just our annual allotment, or not annual allotment, but the paving program is a line item in our budget, and we get, Region One gets 25% of that. It's not just, we're lucky that it's 25. No, we're 24%. It's broke down by lane miles in each region. So Region Three has the most lane miles. They get about 32% of the budget for paving. We get 24%. I think Region Four gets 25%, and Region Two is like in the 21% or something like that. So it just works out that by math that we get 24%. It adds up to 29 million out of 125 million.
Or are you doing T-Dot project updates, or is that Michael?
You have any project updates, Mike?
Garland Avenue, the Sullivan County line. It's led, scheduled for completion in August of this year. 91 resurfacing the Washington County line to I-26, and that's coupled with bridge repairs on the interstate as well. Have not had the pre-con on that, but that is scheduled for completion in October. We get the signals at 93 on Bloomingdale. It's scheduled for June of this year completion. And State Route 93, the phase 3 section from Horse Creek to Derby Drive, that's under construction. Currently has the April of 2027 completion date on it. Contractor's been blasting and grading on site and doing some water line installation. And I guess the last one was 93 bridge repair South Fork to the Holston River. Original work items are essentially complete. We like a little bit of pavement markings and rumble stripes, but found some additional things that we're gonna have to go back in there and repair. So those barrels are coming, come up and we're probably gonna do it back down.
Yeah, the only update I would give is obviously we've talked about 126. We're hyper focused on getting that project out the door. We are down into the home stretch. We have probably 7-8 tracks of right of way that we're trying to finish up. An interesting part of that to me, I mean, it's $100 million, but I think Joe Q Public doesn't realize just how much utilities play a part of that. I think we're in the $20 to $25 million range on that project and utilities. So it's a pretty impressive project.
And I would like to point out, Michelle Christian is here with us today. So T-Dot, through their EPIC program, they did some reorganization. So Anne Marie was at our February meeting. She didn't sit at the table, but she was in the audience. She is the statewide MPO team lead. And Michelle is the statewide RPO team lead. Troy's out of town. Anne Marie's tied up in invoices. And so Michelle is here representing T-Dot, but she was promoted to statewide RPO team lead. Michelle. Anything else from TDOT? VDOT, got anything? Candace, transit.
Things are going very well. We all heard from Tennessee back in February about our new Path Connect program. Checked this morning and we're about 550 trips, which is pretty good since we have done a very soft launch program. So that's going very well. We have our upcoming promotion for dollar half price tickets. Those will start next Monday and go through Friday. That's a very popular promotion that we run. In July. We've got 2 Ford Starlight vehicles that we purchased that should be coming hopefully around the end of June. And that's exciting because that all of that has to be safely. So that vehicle's bigger than a van, but smaller than the buses that we normally run. That's not totally ideal for cats, but that's what we've got right now, and so we're just making we can do the best, But that does affect, our routes and things like that. We're at 4 routes right now. We'd actually like very much to add a 5th one back, so we're just going to see. We're going to see if we like these 2 vehicles, and if we do, we'll look at the I don't know, talking things transit. I don't know if you knows about the My Ride program. The My Ride program. I would consider a positive, because I know there's a lot of people that have worked with another student program. I've been involved along the way, so, and CAPS is definitely going to be, an option for some of these types of students. But we let them know that we're willing to work with them.
Is that just in our area or is that statewide? Okay.
Last thing is let y'all know we're working on this position of the old tax. We've been working on that for a while. So through that area is going to be for higher education, and it's a win-win to have that building be utilized for that, and then we move on and giving us more room. A complete project. That he's working with FCA on that, so it's a work in progress. So we don't really have a time frame for when that will be complete. Any questions?
Candace, thanks for working on the My Ride, an option in Kingsport. I had a citizen call me the other day about that.
Anything net trans?
Well, we try to go with the Ford Mustang. We've got a little bit better range.
Want to just have an update?
Ask anybody that would like to speak, and no one has said they'd like to speak.
One thing we're waiting on anybody online for next week for VDOT on Tuesday, the 13th, from 4 to 7, so future improvement plan meeting at the Higher Ed Center. It's located off of exit 14, just waiting to get to it. Anybody wants to come out. Also, I-81, and I'll talk a little bit later about that plan starting. We finished our first round of public input, and we're wrapping up those responses. I don't think it'll be talked about much next week, maybe a little bit here in the coming months, but having a public meeting.
Any other updates?
Make sure you, giving an update. I don't know.
No, I don't have anything.
Okay, thank you. And the airport's not here today. Okay, so I have a few MPO updates, then we'll let Michael do the local project updates. But remember our August meeting, we changed because the TDOT MPO conference is the week that we had our meeting originally scheduled. So it'll be August 7th and it'll be at 2:00 here. So a week before we usually meet, and the time will be 2:00 because there is a meeting before us that I need to have time to set up everything. The fiscal year 26 through 29 TIP, we'll be doing a new TIP. It'll be adopted at the end of calendar year 25, maybe early 2026. Our 2050 long-range plan will be starting. It's due May of 27. We'll begin the procurement process soon to get a consultant on board. Michael and I went to Nashville a few weeks ago and met with TDOT and Bristol and Johnson City MPOs. And we are moving towards a regional travel demand model. Bristol's long-range plan is due next September, so they're like first to kind of transition their model to this statewide platform, not platform, but like layout format, and then we'll be next, and then Johnson City. And so then we'll eventually have a Tri-Cities model that TDOT's going to pay for, and they or their consultant will maintain. So that'll be good. If you all got an envelope that looks like this in the mail, please do not ignore it. It is our household travel survey. It's a statewide household travel survey. 8 of the 11 MPOs in Tennessee are participating. We partnered with the Center for Transportation Research at UT Knoxville, and the consulting firms WSP and Westat are the ones that are conducting the survey. It's not just a typical survey where you answer a few questions. It is, the first part, you'll receive a letter in the mail, which is a recruitment letter. That's what this is. So they try to get a mix of people, different kind of households, different areas, different incomes. So you can't just go say, hey, I want to do this. You're actually recruited. You get the letter in the mail, fill out the recruitment part, which asks a few questions about your household, how many vehicles and all that stuff. And then the next part of that is you actually are assigned a travel day and you track your travel. So you can do it through an app, you can enter it online. There's different options for doing it, but you actually track your travel for a specific day that they've assigned. And so it helps us with getting the data. There's a national household travel survey. And when we did our long range plan last time, everything that we've seen, those trip rates were low. So we're kind of trying to get our own specific data, and can choose an option to add on to the National Household Travel Survey, which TDOT has done, but that's only a sample size of 1,500 across the whole state. Ours will be 10,500 in those 8 MPO areas. So we'll have 1,500 just in the Tri-Cities area is the goal, 500 for Kingsport, 500 for Bristol, 500 for Johnson City. And so this tells who's traveling, when they're traveling, where they're going, why they go there, how they get there, and it analyzes the trends in personal and household travel. So it helps us figure out, where people are going, where the travel's happening, looking forward into the future to try to predict where congestion and stuff will be issues. They sent the first letters out at the end of March and early April. We'll pause it during the summer. I think the last travel day for this time will be May 23rd. So you still have some time if you get on and if you got it, get on, or family or friends or whoever, if they got it, tell them to do it. You can do the recruitment part. They'll assign you a travel day. I think May 23rd is the last day for travel. They're not going to do it during the summer because of travel patterns being different when school's out. So there'll be another round in the fall. So even if you don't get it this time, get it in the fall. When I looked earlier, our goal is 500 completed surveys. We were actually at 139, I think. There's all kinds of good information on the My Travels Count website as well, but they pull up this website. Really neat. Can't believe I got it the first try. So
Good.
yeah. So this is my survey management dashboard. It tells us this is the recruitment. So these are the people that have actually completed the recruitment part. Now, we've had like 300 people complete the recruitment part. But they said a lot of people complete that first part, but they never complete the survey. So just in the Tri-Cities, we've had 960 that have completed the recruitment and 398 have completed the retrieval. But if you zoom in, of course, it's not going to get down granular, so you have exact information, you know, all the privacy stuff is followed. But you'll see this is the recruitment, see how they try to spread it out and get people from different places throughout the region, not just all in one area. And then the retrieval. So this is people that have actually completed the survey. Pretty good mix there for our area. But afraid people will get it and just, you know, toss it to the side. So they were planning to send 650,000 letters across the state. I mean, to those 8 MPO areas. I think for the first round, they've sent out like 100,000. So like I said, if you don't get one in the spring, you may get one in the fall. So please participate. And they are going to Virginia as well.
Hey, Leslie.
Hmm?
I know so much of what all we do is with consultants, and sometimes they don't get the due recognition that they deserve. Thomas got his within a month of getting buying a house in Kingsport. So I know they're being pretty efficient. So good job to those fine folks.
Yeah, and there's only a couple of companies, from what I understand, that actually do these travel surveys. The large MPOs are required to have them. The small MPOs, we don't have to, but it's good information, especially for us to combine, as you know, Bristol and Johnson City. And I mean, the 80% of it was taken out of our federal planning funds, and then was paying the state match. So you don't have to really. There was no local match that we had to worry about. It's all coming out of planning funds. So.
By far, this will give us the best data we've ever had to inform our next long range.
Any other updates?
Projects, Michael?
West End Greenbelt, we talked about that one earlier today. It's in right away, and it's scheduled to get to construction next winter. Fiscal 26-7 timeframe. The Brickyard Head Bridge, we got notice to proceed with design recently and have submitted plans to TDOT for review on that one. It's on probably a similar time frame. Main Street is so close to being done. From the contractor standpoint, we're down to punch list, but we're working through utility companies finishing all their cutovers so we can wreck the power lines and the poles and stuff. So street light work is underway right now by AEP. We should be in good shape with that one this summer. Island Road, if you remember, we earlier at the last meeting converted that to from a rebuild to a resurfacing project. So consultants in the process of retooling that project for resubmittal. Others resurfacing. Is there any questions on any projects for us?
All right, anything else on updates? Anybody have any questions or comments? All right, if not, we stand adjourned. Thank you.
Yeah.